I was thinking that I could just put this baffling back on there. This is the one that goes on the left side that the oil cooler mounts to. And I was thinking I could just go ahead and bolt that back up on there, not do anything with it, just hook it all up. But I got to thinking about it and decided I probably should go over this and check it out. And doing that, I did find this piece down here. It goes underneath the cylinder head portion, the fins. This portion that goes underneath the cylinder, main cylinder fins is okay. But this piece here that goes underneath the cylinder head is pretty well sawed up in there from rubbing against his fingers on the cylinder, the fins on the cylinder head, and it's also got a crack in it. Where's it at? Oh, right here. I probably should go ahead and do some repairs on that. So I took the oil cooler off and I've taken it over. I took it all the hoses off and I've washed them out. I've got the oil cooler sitting over there with some solvent in it, flushing it out, and I'll do a pressure test on it. But I'll see what I can do with this. I'll have to go get my drills and drill motor and stuff like that, the rivet gun, see what I can do. You can see I've already patched this thing up. It's been patched up several times because all the weight of that oil cooler on here caused a lot of vibration, and it puts a lot of stress. This is a pretty complex shape here, and all that oil cooler weight was on there vibrating, and it's caused it to crack out several times. So last time when I put it together, I did this repair on it here, and that's held up pretty good. Well, otherwise it's holding up pretty good, but this piece here, that don't look too good. So I'll see what I can do about putting something in there and fixing that. Well, looking this piece over here, I thought that it was just a single piece that was riveted in there. I thought I could just drill the rivets out here along this section and then get the thing to come out, but then I could see it went farther up this way, and it looked like it went into here. But once I got to looking, the more I got to looking, the more I could see that it was all part of this whole main piece right here, formed out of it. And it's got a doubler back on here for where the oil cooler mounts to, and that was all flush riveted on there. Well, it turned out I had to drill out all these rivets and get it all the way up to here. But instead of taking everything completely apart, I just got in there and cut that off. So I'll go ahead and make a new piece like this, stick in there. Anyway, I had to drill out a lot more rivets than I intended to, or thought I would initially. A whole bunch of little teeny number 3 flathead rivets in there, because their paint was so thick on them you couldn't hardly find the rivet heads to drill them out. Well, then I went up to the basement and looked around through my scrap aluminum pile and found some scrap pieces of aluminum here, and I found one that I could fit this piece onto and made it up to it. So I drew this pattern out on a piece there, cut it out, and now I've got it fitted in there. I've got some clamp clecos on there. I'll go ahead and start drilling out some of those rivet holes. Then we'll put some regular clecos in there and get that riveted in there. And the sandhill cranes are going over, and they're making a lot of noise today. I could go check them out. In the sun, so you might not be able to see them. They're crazy. That's sandhill cranes have been coming over here for the last week or so, but the ceiling has been higher and they've been up higher. The ceiling is low coming over the hills today, so they're coming over a lot lower now. They're headed north on their north migration. You get turned around here now out of the sun. They were heading south last fall. We ran into a flock of them when we were coming back from our cranberry picking trip as they were heading south. But now they're heading north, and they go over in bunches like that 3 or 4 times a day or more. All right, that's better. Okay, now I need to find some regular rivets. Anyway, I got a good start at this. That riveted into that back piece there. See, now I got to find some regular brazier head rivets for these. They don't need the flathead rivets on those. Alright, I got that pretty well nailed together. I took, because the holes kind of got out sequence here on here, I went ahead and drilled a couple extra holes in there and put a couple extra rivets in there. Well, that thing is nailed down pretty good. Anyway, that looks pretty good. Let's go give it a try. This is where it goes. This is the right hand side. It goes in here. This bracket holds it up here. I've transferred that off of the old engine onto this one. And that just goes in there like that. And then this goes, that goes down in there under those cylinders. And I think that fits pretty good. Alright, that'll be better. That directs that air down underneath and comes out down here in the bottom between these cylinders here. It works just like it was made for it. I want to clean this up a little bit, and I got some high temp black paint. I'll go ahead and paint it up. That's the left rear baffle that I've been working on. I wound up taking that seal off of there. Cubs use a felt, a thick felt, for a cowling seal. And it's riveted on there with pop rivets. So I took that one off of that side, and so I could finish cleaning that up. And then I went and got some high temp paint and painted it. Well, I started going over the rest of these pieces of baffling, and the right rear one is in pretty good shape, but the paint was not too good on it, so I went ahead and took the felt off of it too. Cleaned it up and painted it. Now this is the left front baffle, and this is one I've done quite a bit of repairs to. See fresh aluminum here and here. And then the felt on the baffle here is getting pretty skinny right here where it's rubbing on the cowling. I think I'm just going to see if I can get some new felt to put on this, and I'll go ahead and strip this one down too, clean it up and paint it, and get all these bare metal all covered up and painted. This is the right front one, and it's the same way. The felt on here got rubbed on the cowling here, and it's kind of almost cut through. Somebody's got it doped all up with some silicone here. It'd be better. I'll see if I can get, like I said, see if I can get some new stuff. Now this one is in okay condition, but I've got that new alternator on there, and it's a little alternator, and this has a big cutout here in the front to clear the fan belt, the V belt, and the alternator. So I'm going to put the alternator on the engine and then put this up there and see if maybe I can put some more metal in here to close that gap off a little bit. It stop some of the airflow through there, maybe dam up some more air into the cowling over the engine itself. Well, this is the right side, and it's in pretty good shape, but again it needs to be repainted, so I think I'll take the felt off that. The felt is in okay shape on this one too. It's fine, but we'll see what happens, what I do with new felt. And this is the left side. I've had to patch it a couple of times. The felt on it is pretty worn here on the front. I've got these great big rivets in there, and this rivet back here was rubbing on the inside of the cowling, so I'm going to have to see what I can do about that. I was kind of wondering if I was going too far taking this baffling apart, but I'm glad I did now. This is the right baffling, the baffling on the right side of the engine, and I didn't see anything wrong with it when I first looked at it when it was all together. Once I started getting it apart, I could see that it's got a crack in it right here. You can't really see it, but it's right there, and there's a doubler right there where the screw goes through to hold that baffling onto the side of the cylinder, onto the head of the cylinder. So I'll have to fix that. I'll go ahead and fix that, and that's just got 3 rivets in there. It's a circle, like a washer. I'll go ahead and make a new one there and put a new doubler on that. Over that crack, make a bigger one. Not a bigger crack, a bigger doubler. I got a patch on this piece of baffling here. I was originally thinking about cutting a piece and just making it shaped just like this doubler right here. But then I got to thinking about it, and I just made a patch. I just cut out a piece of 032 and just made a patch over the whole thing. I drilled out the rivets here that hold this doubler on, and then I came back here on this side and stop drilled where the cracks were on here. Cut out a patch that covered that and laid out the rivet pattern and stuff on it and rivet it together. Have to use flush mount rivets or flathead rivets on here because this fits up against the cylinder. But that should be pretty good. That'll hold that. Well, now I'll get that washed down a little bit more and go get that painted. I called up Stoddard's in Anchorage this morning and ordered some new felt. I said I got to looking at this felt. Some of it is okay, but some of it's kind of worn. But $12 for a roll of felt for it or something, that's not that much. So we get new felt on all of these. I was going to wait to mount this alternator on the engine till after I hung it from the airframe, but I knew I've got a great big gap in this baffle, this front baffle here, where it goes down in. Now the old alternator was a lot bigger and it stuck way out over here, so we needed this length of room here to clear the adjustment arm and to give airflow down through the alternator for cooling. But with this new alternator on here, it's 20%, 25% the size of the old one. And so there's a big gap in here, a big air gap in here that can be stood to be closed off. The more of that air that gets blocked off in there, the better it is for the engine, the better it is for the engine cooling. So I went ahead and mounted up the alternator on there and hung the ring gear on, the flywheel on, so I could put the belt on to kind of get a general idea where that thing fits at. And I've got the baffle up here, the front baffle on here, and so I can go ahead and cut out a piece here to see how far I can come. And I can come right to there, and anyway I can make a piece I can bring out like this, around like that, something like that anyway. Well, there's what I got figured out. That covers up that portion of the hole right there. I'll probably have to notch this out maybe just a little bit for that adjustment arm for that alternator. Well, I can get the rivets out now and start nailing that together. Well, that thing looks pretty good if I do say so myself. Blocks off a big portion of that gap in there. I thought I was going to have to notch that out a little bit around this alternator arm, but that thing just barely clears it. I'm pretty happy with that. It closes off a big air gap there. Gone over all of the baffling, and I made repairs to a couple pieces, cleaned them all up and painted them. These are the last two to be painted. These are the ones for the left side of the engine. They were in okay shape. I'd done a major repair, a pretty good repair on those before when I put the airplane back together. Called up Stoddard's yesterday and ordered the new felt for that. They're going to get it in the mail today. It might be here tomorrow. Today's Wednesday. They get it in the mail today. I doubt if it's here tomorrow, but it might be here Friday or Saturday. And I can put all that stuff back together. That'll give the paint plenty of chance to cure before I start dinging around with it. Well, that was kind of what I was going to do next, is to put that baffling on the engine and get all that on there, that oil cooler on there and stuff, and then hang the engine, but the baffling is not ready to go yet. It looks like the oil cooler won't be here for a week. So I guess I get busy and do some other things. We got the firewall pretty well cleaned up, and everything inside the cabin section, all the controls and fuel lines and all of that stuff are all checked out, and all that stuff works pretty good. I got the new throttle cable on, and all of that is all done. So one of the things I can do here now is to go ahead and drain that gas collator and check it out for any contamination or anything in it. And that's easier to do now with the engine off than it would be with the engine on there, so I do that now.